Boker Tov. Today's daf is Daf Samach Gimel in Yevmot. Daf Samach Gimel, and we got down yesterday about more than halfway down the page, about 2/3 of the way down to Amar Papa. We begin with Rav Papa's advice. Yesterday we had Rav Elazar telling us a person who's not how a person is supposed to be married and the importance of having a wife, etc., and how. It's also important that through us that Hashem's we had that idea also that Hashem was going to graft some of the goyim into us and strengthen our nation, etc. And also some words about agriculture. So today we continue with Amar Papa, about 2/3 of the way down. Again, we learn for a fourth line for Yosef Ezra ben Chaim Michal and Elazar ben Reuma. Amar Papa, Zerav v'lo tasvin, better to plant than to buy your produce that you need, even though they cost about the same, even though it doesn't cost any more. But hani mevorchen, it's if you eat the fruits and vegetables that you plant, that's considered more of a blessing because you planted them yourself and you worked them, even though it's about the same outlay, the same expenses. Yeah, it may taste better too.
Yes.
Zavin velo taste.
Even though it said that the farmers are the lower
lowest, but
of society.
Right, but we still you need farmers, right? You need all of them, right? You always say that people say that you think your job is very important, and the garbage men are not. If the garbage men don't show up to work for a week, you know what happens, right? If you don't show up to work for a week, not a big deal. So Zavin velo tezel or velo tidvil. Better to sell off your household goods rather than go into poverty. Hani Mili district, that's talking about household goods, furniture and things of that sort of. A glima, but not your shirt, but Misrami lay, because kid a boy, you might not find kid a boy. You might not sell your shirt because when you'll get up again and try to buy one, you may not be able to find one. So don't sell your clothes, but sell your household goods rather than go into poverty. Tomolo tashbetz, if you have a small hole in your house, repair it now, seal it off before you have to do a major shiputs, before a major reconstruction and repairs, right, and remodeling. Better to take care of it now before it gets big and you'll need you have to do the whole wall. And also, better to do a shiputs than start to build the whole thing from scratch. Whoever's osik in construction becomes poverty-stricken. It's a very difficult field. There's a topical because that's what happens. In other words, people don't know what their expenses are, and the construction and the workers don't show up. It's a tough business. Kvots zavin ara, jump to buy land. You get an opportunity to buy land, that's important. It's good to have land. Meton nasavisa, but be diligent and wait. Meton means like hamten, wait before you get married. Check her out carefully. Does you get an opportunity to buy land? Grab it. You get an opportunity to get married. Don't get married right away. Wait till you check out to make sure that she's not an evil woman and a contentious woman. Nasiv isasa, quotes of an hour, and be careful before you get married. Go down a level to marry a wife. In other words, if you find a wife from a higher class than you are, she'll always look down on you and she won't accept you, and you'll always get problems. So better to go down a level when you choose a wife. Sak darka b'chashishvina. But when you look for friends, look friends at a higher class, so they will have a good influence and try to attach yourself to them. Amar of Elazar. Now, so our Gemara says Baravina, and the side he takes it out the Alkut, and it works out better because yesterday's Gemara here was also Amar of Elazar and Amar of Elazar. Amar of Elazar. Elazar said all these various things about the agriculture and about getting married, and etc. And he said, now it goes on with another thing that Rav Elazar said. Punishment only comes to the world only because of the Jewish people. Shnemer, Ichrati goyim, I cut off the nations. Nashamu pinos, I made their corners desolate. Ichrafti chutzosam, I destroyed their streets. It says afterwards, Amarti, and I said, Achti tiriosi, you should fear me. Tikchi musar, you should take musar, meaning you should learn conduct and morality and discipline from what I've done. So Hashem brings on the world, even the rest of the world, so that the Jews should learn and Jews should improve. Rav Mitim Rav Chia. Now Rav, was a nephew of Rav Chia. We've had often. We have it constantly here too. Rav Chia was his uncle, and Rav also named his son Chia. In any case, here we're talking about where Rav he left Rav Chia, his uncle who he had learned from. Amalei, and Rav Chia told him, Rachman Aslach, may the All Merciful, may Hashem protect you, save you, mimidi the kashim musa, from something which is worse than death. Is anything worse than death? Nafak, Rav went out, he checked, and he found, Shlomo Mel said that. I found something more bitter than death, the woman. Now we're going to talk about what an evil woman could do in a household. The truth is that we know that an evil man could do maybe worse, right? But here we're talking about from the perspective of a man. If a man is getting married, you should be careful who he's marrying to, because may God protect you from an evil woman. Of course, there's very fine women. Just telling you that it works both ways, just like with men, it works both ways. Rav's wife caused him to suffer. When he said to her, can you please prepare the lentils? So she made him peas. Now, she didn't tell him, go cook them yourself. Apparently, she had still had control of the kitchen, right? There are certain things she didn't want to give up. So whenever he asked for lentils, she made him peas. If he asked for peas, lentils and others, just to spite him. He got al Chia Bray when his own son Chia grew up, and obviously kids in the house know what's going on. So when his father would want something, he'd tell the son, go ask your mother to make me lentils. And the son knew that if he asked for lentils, he'd get peas. So he was smart, and he said to his mother, make peas for Abba. So he got the lentils. So Rav said to his son, look how your mother has improved for you. And she's improved. Look, she's doing much better now. She always used to bring me the wrong food. Now I'm getting the right food. I was the one who caused it to happen by reversing your request. When you requested peas, I asked for lentils, and vice versa. This fits in good with what people say. The one who comes out of you, the one who comes out of you will teach you reasoning. In other words, you're smarter than me, but still, don't do that. They interpreting bad about people. It says they teach their tongues to speak falsehood, and they sin. They commit iniquity. In other words, what you're doing is smart. You're smarter than I am. I never thought of that. I never thought of asking for the reverse. Right. You're smarter than I am. You're teaching me, but still you should refrain from Rav Chia become mitzarle to this. Rav Chia himself, his uncle, Rav Chia become mitzarle to this. His wife also caused him to suffer. Still, whenever he found something good in the marketplace, he'd wrap it up a sidre in his handkerchief or his cloth. In other words, despite the fact that his wife mistreated him, he treated her nicely. Omerle Rav, so Rav said, what are you being nice to her for? Look how she's causing you to suffer. Omerle, it's enough. You should give them respect because they raise our children, and they take care, they save us from sin by taking care of our physical needs. And so even if she mistreats me, you still treat her properly. Rav Yehuda taught, or he read to him the pasuk in Kehelis, this pasuk we just quoted. I found something more bitter than death. The woman, Amalei Kagoman. What's an example of that? It says, "Go nimcha like your mother," as he didn't teach him something new. I guess he knew what was going on. It wasn't like Lashon Hara. It's like your mother, Says Gemara, is really so any? Is that really so that his mother was so bad? The same Rav Yehuda taught, the same Rav Yitzchak his son. A person never finds peace of mind except from his first wife, Shenemar. Make your fountain be blessed and your source. And rejoice and be happy from the wife of your youth. In other words, he himself quoted this pasuk. He says, "Who's the worst one? Your mother." And who gives you joy and happiness and satisfaction? Also your mother. What's going on over here? And same thing when he taught him that when he asked him for an example, when Yabisik asked his father, like whom? When he said, he said, "Who? That's your mother." And when he said, that you will be happy with your wife, for example, who's at your mother. So those things to be in contradiction. The answer is Maskiv Takma. She's very tough. She's very tough, and she can be abrasive. But you can pacify her with a word. In other words, sometimes with tough people, the way to do it is right. What does Shlomo say? Mana rachme shiv chema. Right. That's what he says in Mishlei, that a soft, sometimes a soft answer, a soft tone will cause people to calm down. So that's what he'll do. Hechidami isha. What's an example of an evil woman? She prepares for his tray, prepares for food. She's also prepares by screaming at him, curses him. Until they eat, she's always yelling and cursing at him. Rav Amr, she prepares a meal for him, and she shows him her back, meaning she doesn't want to join. She doesn't want to join with him in eating. She prepares the meal and says, "Go eat yourself." Amar Rebbe, Amar Rav Chama bar Chanina. When a person gets married, as we said before, it's wrong not to be married. A person's supposed to be married and propagate the world. So a person who gets married, his sins are stopped up. Sins are like, or stopped, like a stop, like a pkak shnemer. Matzah isha matzah tov. If you found a woman, you found goodness. And you will obtain goodwill from God for getting married that way. When in Marava and Eretz Yisrael, when a man would get married, they told him, this is what they told him: Matzah or Motzah. Did he get a good wife or did he get a bad wife? And as Matzah, did he fulfill the Matzah? We'll see what that is in a second. We had this possible before. Or Motzah, or did he get a bad one? Matzah, the siv Matzah isha Matzah tov. Did he get a good wife? Or Motzah, the siv Motzah ani ma'armi mavos. I found something worse than death with Esa isha. So which one did he get? In other words, there's different kinds of women, and there's all other kinds in between, just like men. Amarava, isha ra mitzvah l'gash. If we have an evil wife, it's a mitzvah to divorce her. The siv Garish, let's chase away the scoffer, the person who makes fun of. The Yatza Madon, and the contention, the fighting will go away. The Yishbos Din the Kalon, and the strife and the shame will go away, will stop up. There's a way to get rid of a problem is to get rid of it. Yamarava. Let's say a person has a bad wife and he wants to divorce her, but he committed to a big subah, can't afford to divorce her. Right? Sarasa Betsida. You know what the best solution is? Take another wife. Because people say, better cause her, improve her conduct with by having another wife, by having competition, but not with a thorn. In other words, don't hurt her or abuse her or anything like that, or verbally otherwise, but take another wife, that'll straighten her out. An evil woman is as bad as a day of hail and storms. Shenamar, the laf torei b'yom sagrir. Pasuk says that the rain will drip down on a day of winds and hail. The isha midyam tishva, and a woman who's contentious, who fights with you and causes strife, is equivalent to that, the same thing. Look how good a good woman is. Look how bad a bad woman is. Pasuk says if you find a good woman, you found good. So you see a good woman is considered tov, says the pasuk. If you're talking about her literally, when you say matzah isha, you mean literally a wife, a woman. If you're talking about her, so even if the pasuk speaking about her literally, so kamatovi ishatah, look how great a good wife is. Shakasa mishapim, because the pasuk praises her. Even Torah mishtark, or maybe the pasuk is just an allegory. It's a metaphor for matzah isha, matzah Torah, further to the Torah. And if it is the Torah, it's also a good compliment. If the pasuk is speaking about the Torah, kamatovi isha, look how good a good woman is. Torah nimshal bata, the Torah is compared to a good woman. So you see that a good woman is like the best thing in the world. Kamara Isha, how bad is an evil woman? The Siv Motzani Mam Rav Sasish, the pasuk tells us, says I found something worse than. And by the way, the pasuk doesn't mention Matzah Isha Matzah Tov, right? Where's the Matzah Isha Matzah Tov is in Mishlei. So one is in Kos, one is in Mishlei. So they're both said by Shlomo HaMelech, right? So he said both things. Right? A lot of wives. Yeah. But he also said he was capable of looking at it from both views. That a good woman is great and a bad woman not so much, right? Kamara Isha. So if you say the pasuk says, Kamara Isha, if we're talking about literally a woman, so Bishtoikra, so Kamara Isha, look how bad a woman is a woman. Shakasu Magana, the pasuk disgraces her and shames her and says, look how bad a woman is. If we're talking about hell, that's just an example of mostly my Melvis as Isha is referring to hell, comparing her to a wife, to a woman. So Kamara Isha Ra, Shaganim Nimshala, look how bad a woman is, a bad woman that Gehenna is compared to her. Then he may be Ra Asher Lo Yochlo, let's I will bring evil upon you that you won't be able to get out of. That's having a bad wife and a big ksuba that you can't afford to get rid of her. You won't be able to get out of that problem. The Sanani Hashem Bidei Leuchalkum, God has put me in the hands of somebody that I can't stand up against. The same thing. It's speaking about a bad woman with a large ksuba. He fell into a trap. In Eretz Yisrael, they said that God has put me into a trap that I can't get out of. That's a person who has no fields, can't grow his own crops, and is dependent on putting out his money every day, spending his money where it's probably more expensive to buy the food, and he's in bad shape because he's not guaranteed of having food in the future. In the Klala, it says that your sons and daughters will be given over to another nation. That's stepmother. Right? Your children, the mother will die, and your children will be given over to take care of the stiefmother, the stepmother, who's not always as good as the real mother, right? That's what happens, right? I will provoke them by putting them in a nation that's abominable and disgusting and vile. I will provoke them with a bad nation. What does that refer to? That's also means that I will provoke them with a bad nation. Refers to this evil woman who has a large ksuba. Refers to the stukim, the apostates. That the novel says, I'm sorry, there is no God. That's what we mean by a novel, a disgusting, disgraceful person. It could refer to a bad woman, could also refer to a Saduki.
Sadukis were the apostates.
Well, they were in our sense.
They didn't say
well, that's what it says. It says here, in other words, yeah, maybe it means that, or maybe it means this refers to other kinds of stukim. Whether they only believe in Torah Shabbal Pez, I guess it means that there's no God who gave us the Torah Shabbal Pez. They didn't believe in it in all its aspects. These places, these are disgusting people who walk naked in the market. There's nothing more disgusting and abominable before God. A person walks around naked. It's not Chaveirim, Chaveirim were a Persian sect. Some say they were fire worshippers, and they were always caused trouble to the Jews. They didn't tolerate any other religions, pretty much like the Muslims and the Christians today, that they don't tolerate other religions. Rabbi Yochanan, Elu Chavim. These are the bad people. Amar Leila Rabbi Yochanan, Asu Chavim the Babel. They told Rabbi Yochanan, you know what? Some of these Chavim, I guess they originally from Persia, they've come to Babel. Shaga Nafal. He bent over. He was when he heard the news, he was so taken aback, and he fell down. Amrulay Makabli Shochta, but they will accept bribes, to relieve us. So Toretz Yosef. So he sat himself up, and he supported himself, and he said it wasn't then so bad. The Jews will bribe them. Gozru al Gimel Mepnei Gimel. Now these Goyim decreed 3 decrees, and Mepnei Gimel, because of 3 things that the Jews were not good at. In other words, they were gozer at 3 things. They weren't gozer. The Goyim weren't gozer these things, thinking because the Jews didn't serve that. But he told them. In other words, when these Chavrim made 3 decrees on the Jews, so Rabbi Yochanan explained to him these three decrees that we got, which we'll explain now in a minute. We got Mida Keneged Mida. The Jews got these decrees against them because of something that the Jews had not done properly. What are they? Gazru, I'll give them the gimel. Gazru alabasar. They were gozer that the Jews can't eat meat. You can't eat meat. The world hasn't changed, right? You can't shech meat. Gazru alabasar. They have matanos because the Jews were not careful giving the matanos kahuna, that they're supposed to give the portions of the meats, Ro'ol Chaim and Kavit to the Kohanim, etc. Because of that Aveira, that they stole the matanos kahuna, so now they got exer, they can't eat meat at all. Gazar marchatzos, they closed down the bathhouses. The Jews can natfila because the Jews weren't careful with the ritual immersions that they were supposed to do, and they weren't careful with that. And kamachati shachvi, and they dug up the graves, the Jewish cemeteries. You ever see that? Even the Nazis didn't do that. They buried us. They didn't. They dug. Apparently, the Goyim felt that the earth was holy, and they didn't want to defile it by putting Jewish bodies, by burying Jewish bodies. They either burned themselves up or whatever. They felt that you can't defile the earth by putting bodies in it. So they dug up Jewish graves. Why? They should smechem b'yodeim, because the Jews were rejoiced they celebrated Christmas, so to speak, right? When the Jews celebrate Christmas on the Jewish holidays, for this they suffered, and their graves were uprooted. Shneimar, the pasuk says that God's hand will be against you, uvavosechem, and your fathers who are no longer alive. How could they punish their fathers who are no longer alive? The answer is they dug up their graves. Right. That's digging up the graves of the dead people. Because of the sins of the living, because of the sins of the living, their ancestors had their graves dug up. They won't be gathered up, they won't be buried. They will be for dung on the face of the earth, meaning they will not be zocher to a Jewish burial. It says, on the other hand, they chose death over life. Why would they choose death over life if it's going to be a disgraceful death? Amalei doesn't mean they chose it. Amalei nivchar mavas l'risham. The Risham didn't choose death, but death was chosen for them by God and the angels. They shouldn't live and sin. So it was better that they should die rather than sin and fall into Gehenna. Custom Sefer Ben Sir. Ben Sir was a book that was not in the canon. It was not in the Jewish canon, the 24 Sefer Kodesh. But it was a book. It was an early book, an early sefer that had a lot of good advice. Wisdom literature. Isha Tova. That's the formal name, I guess. Yeah. Wisdom literature. Huh? Isha Tova, Matana Tova. A good woman is a good gift, and the Girsha takes out the next three words of Labala Uksiv Tova. But rather, a good woman is a good gift. B'chei kirei Elokim. And she will be put in the bosom of a God-fearing man. As a good woman is a gift for a God-fearing man. Ishara, we're at the first of the widest lines down on the page. Ishara tzaras lebalo. An evil woman is like leprosy for us. What's the solution? Yigasheno, he should divorce her, and he will be healed from his leprosy. Of course, that's only if he can afford to pay the right? Isha Yafa, a pretty woman, Ashrei Bala, happy as her husband, Mispar Yom of Kiflayim. His days are double, meaning it doesn't really mean he lives twice as long as he was destined, but each day is like 2 days. He's so happy that it's like he's living twice as long. Stay away, hide your eyes from a woman of charm, somebody else's wife, lest you be captured in her net and in her mitzvah, in her
web.
Pardon?
Web.
Her web, or she had like her trap. Her trap is the word I'm looking for. Okay? You shouldn't be captured in her trap. Don't befriend her husband to mix wine with him, shaker and drink. In other words, don't get together. Don't spend too much time with him drinking wine. Because of the appearance of a good woman, of a beautiful woman. Many people were destroyed. All the people were killed via her through adultery, etc., are many. Many are the wounds of the Rochel. The Rochel was the Fuller brush salesman, the traveling salesman who sold perfumes and spices to women. He would visit women, and things would go wrong there. And then the husband would come home and find them, and then he was wounded, right? Hamargim Varvera, that are accustomed to doing immorality. Kenitzotz mavir gachelos. It's like a spark that sets the coal on fire. Kekluv male of came batayim mimra. Like a cage is full of birds. A bird cage is full of birds. The same thing. Their houses are full of deceit. Al totzer tzaras machar. All this is advice that Ben Sira had given. Al totzer, don't suffer tzaras machar. Don't worry about something that might happen tomorrow. You don't know what the new day will give birth to. Shema machar. Well, maybe tomorrow will come back and you won't even be around. You're worried about something you're not even in that world. Why would you worry about something that you're not going to live to see anyway? But now, don't have an open house and everybody comes into your house and sees what you have, etc. And they'll give you an eye in horror or whatever they'll do, or they'll steal. Keep this multitudes away from your house. Below and don't even bring, even if it's not a lot of people, be careful who you bring into your house. Don't bring everybody into your house. You would like many people to seek your welfare, but your secrets, you only tell 1 out of 1,000. Don't go around revealing your secrets. We had this the other day also. Mashiach will not come until all the neshamas of the guf have left, meaning that all the neshamas of the guf had found bodies on the earth, as if to say that that's another reason to propagate the world, because that will speed up the arrival of Mashiach. Shnemar kiruach malfanayatav, because the spirit from me is encompassed and is enwraps. But when neshamas hanisi, I made all these neshamas. Is to say, I should say that there's a certain area in the heavens that's called the guf, and all Hashem made all these neshamas are there, and until all the neshamas find guf, find the body down here, Mashiach will not come. Tanya Rav Lazar, back to our issue over here. We finished Ben Sira. Now we're Ravasi said, again about having children. Here again, if you're not listening to it's as if you killed. The pasuk says in Noach, if a person kills somebody, man will kill him too. Like the bezin will kill him. He will be killed even by man, because bezin has the power to kill them. It says as if to say that if you're not Yosef Pruavu, it's as if you killed, because you didn't bring people into the world who could have been killed. So you killed people who could have been born and you didn't allow them. Rabbi Kiva Omer, he gives Rabbi Kiva Omer, Ki ilu memaida dmus, as if you it's as if you made smaller, you diminished the divine image. Shenemar, ki betzelem elokim asa'asadam. The same pasuk says, Shafach adam ba'adam amishafech, ki betzelem elokim asa'asadam, because in the image of God has made man. So again, if you're not also Puravu, it's like you diminish God's God. Ben Azai said it's both of them, not just what Rabbi Lezer said and what Rabbi Kiva said. Ben Azai says, as if you killed and you diminish God's image, because they're both in the same pasuk. It says both of them, and right after it says Shneimar Puravu. Oh, Ben Azai said, Ben Azai, wait a minute, you're confirming this idea that if you don't have children, you don't get married, you don't have children, it's like you're diminishing God, and it's like murder. Let me tell you something, Ben Azai. Some people practice what they preach, right? He preaches and he's Mekayim and he practices it. No Mekayim, there are people who practice well, but they don't preach. They're just nice guys. They do the right thing and they don't preach. You preach, but you don't practice. They always say, what's the way? Why don't you practice what you preach? You're preaching about having children. Ben Azai never got married. Mekayim. Ben said, Masa, what can I do? I'm too involved. I'm too desirous of learning Torah. I'm learning Torah 24 hours a day. Let's let other people, the world will continue to exist through others. Tanya Idach, another Bryce. So that was a famous story with Ben Azai. Tanya Idach. Another Bryce. Now this Bryce is exactly like the Bryce we had before, with 3 opinions. The first opinion being, if you're not Osing Material, it's like you commit murder. The second opinion, if you didn't Osing Material, it's as if you diminish the God's image, the divine image. And then Ben Azai says it's both, right? So this Bryce is just like that. So what's this Tanya Idach? The only difference I see is that the second Mandomer is not Rabbi Kiva, it's rather Rabbi Lezer ben Azariah. So again, Tanya Idach, 3 lines from the bottom page. Rabbi Lezer ben Azariah, that was the first thing. That's the same as Rabbi Lezer before in the previous Bryce. And here it's Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, not Rabbi Kiva. It's Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Kiva mine. It's most if you look diminish the Demos of Hashem again because it says Kiva Tzel Malakim and it says Pruvu. Ben Azai says it's both. Ben Azai said Ben Azai Yeshin Adosh V'Rekayim, and they said, you know, you don't practice what you preach, and he told them, well, Nafshi Chashka B'Torah. Tana Rabbanim. Umenucha Yomar, when the ark rested, said Yomel will say Shuv Hashem return Rivos Alpha Yisrael. Return to the Rivos is at least two. Rav is 10,000 people. Ravavos is 2 times 10,000, 20,000 people, and then it's Alpha Yisrael. Shuv Hashem, return Rivos Alpha Yisrael. Return to the 10,000s of Bnei Yisrael and the 1,000 of Bnei Yisrael. Comes out from here. You see, Hashem says, return God to the Rivavos and Alpha. That's 22,000. Rivavos minimum is 2 times 10,000 is 20,000. And then 2,000 is 22,000. So, what happens if Bnei Yisrael's the current population, the current census was 21,999, right? Missing one. And one of them did not have any children. Had he had a child, the Shekhinah would have come. But because he didn't have any children, you see, the Shekhinah won't come because you're missing one. So you see that this person caused the Shekhinah to leave Israel because had there been 22,000, we would have had the Shekhinah. Now that you chayav death, this is talking about Nod of an Avihu. Nod of an Avihu tells that they died in Eish Hashem, and it's referring it in the Bamidbar. And it says over there they died, and then it says the end pasuk, you didn't have any children. Why did it say they didn't have any children? Had they had children, Lo Mesu. He's trying to tell you that they had children, they wouldn't have died. So sometimes by not having children, when he could have, obviously a person can't have any children, or he can't be in the kind of the mitzvah according to my soul because he has girls and not boys, or vice versa, or whatever. If it was beyond him, or nobody would marry him. We're talking about when he had the ability to get married and have children, and he didn't. So he causes the Shekhinah, as we said, to be diminished. He is like he's committing murder, and like we say over here, he's chayav misa. It says, and none of them he had children. Maybe the schus of having children would have caused them not to die, and God wouldn't have killed them. Say, again, if you don't have any children, you cause the Shekhinah to leave Bnei Yisrael. We saw that same drasha from Shuva Hashem Rabbos Alpha Yisrael. The Shekhinah is only sure if you have 22,000. If you're missing one because of you, that's your fault. So the same thing over here, that if he doesn't have any children, you see here also that Shekhinah leaves, because it says, Lios Lacha Le'elokim Uzaracharecha Bizman Shezaracharecha. When you have children after you brought children to the world, Shekhinah Shara, then the Shekhinah exists on the Jewish people. It could be with the 22,000 or without. Ein Zaracharecha, but if you have no children, Al Mishara, where's the Shekhinah going to rest? Al Eitzim Alavanim? There's no Shekhinah on Eitzim Alavanim, it needs to rest on people. The whole idea is we have the Shekhinah Shora on Bnei Yisrael and people, not on inanimate objects. Pick up here from the Mishnah tomorrow. Mitzvah Hashem. Have a good day, everybody. Culture.